Okay, hello everybody. My name is Mariano, and I'm here again, back today to do another tier list for the NBA players. The reason why I'm doing this is because my last video, which I ranked the top 50 NBA players for this past season, it actually did fairly well for myself, at least. It reached about 85 views, which doesn't seem like a lot to you, but to me, it almost 9 times the amount of views I had on my previous video. I mean, like 8 times. But either way, I decided I kind of hop on this and I'm gonna do every single position in sequence, and just kind of give my opinion on why I think things. Hopefully, the last video wasn't received too poorly. I know a lot of my friends kind of roasted me on putting Paul George number 10. And there's some things here that I didn't quite enjoy, but overall, again, it's my opinion. It's what I think. It's not what y'all think or what they think. It's just everyone's entitled to their opinion, right? So, just want to put that out there. Don't hate me. Just yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and start here. So, these are starting point guards for 2022. Okay. Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul is a superstar. I think what he does for his teams, who he is, what he does on the court and off the court as a leader is something that can't be it's unmatched, right? Not a lot of players do that. Not a lot of players are him, and I've been doing it at his high of a peak for as long as he's been doing. You know what I mean? So I think he's a superstar still. Probably in the top 5. We'll see how this list goes, but yeah, I think so. D'Angelo Russell, solid. As of now, solid. Asked me a couple years ago, borderline All-Star. I know he made the All-Star team on a technicality, whatever, but I think he's solid. He's someone who can get you 20 points a night every once in a while, but he could also be very cold and doesn't do much on defense. So he's just solid. Now, Ben Simmons is an interesting one. If he is completely healthy and not dealing with anything and he's good to play, he's a superstar. If he's doing what he did before, he's not ranked. So I'm going to rank it on what I've seen him do, and I think he is a superstar of a point guard. Yeah, people get onto his shooting, but he is by far the best defender. He's a unique specimen. 6'11", pass the ball, defend well, good IQ, just has mental health issues, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just outside of that, he's a great basketball player. I don't want to put him into elite yet. Maybe I might move him up, but for me, I think he's a superstar. DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is an all-star caliber player. He is essentially, to me, a baby Ben Simmons. A little smaller in size, quite obviously, but kind of has a similar role. Gets you those triple-doubles when need be, and he averages near triple-double numbers. On top of that, he's a good defender, and I think that his move and transition this year on his new team is going to benefit him a lot. Like I said, I'm hoping that it's not one of those empty stat gigs. I don't think so. I don't see that in him. But at the same time, he's going to be competing a little bit more, which is good for him. I like to see that. I think him in that backcourt with Trae Young, although I guess he's not a starting point guard, but this is based off last year, so it is what it is. But I think he's an all-star caliber player, and I think he's going to be a nice fit next to Trae Young. Trae Young can hide a little bit more on defense there. Jamal Murray. When he's not injured, all-star caliber. I think he's a great player. I think he's very underrated still. I know what we all saw in the bubble. He was crazy, but I think he's just he's great. I think he's great. Malcolm Brogdon is, to me, a solid point guard. Good defender, decent scorer. Nothing too flashy, nothing crazy with him. I think you kind of get what you get with him, right? You have good shooting splits, but overall, he doesn't wow me. He doesn't strike me as an all-star player. Fred VanVleet, I like Fred VanVleet. I think good scorer, decent defender, all-star caliber player. We saw him get in due to a technicality, of course, this year, but I think he has a few more of these all-star appearances in the coming years, and I think a lot of his team success is due to him being such an impactful player on the court. Where do I want to rank him? I will come back to him. Lonzo. Lonzo is solid, but for me, is in the top of the solid point guards. I think he's just a great defender, great playmaker. He lacks a little bit on the scoring side. I know he raised his 3-point percentage up a bit this year, but I just think I think he's solid. I think that is the best word to describe him: a solid point guard. I think he does everything right on the court that he needs to do. I just wish he was a little bit more aggressive with shooting. Markelle Fultz is okay. I thought about it. It's hard to say. I know he's very injury prone. I like what I see sometimes, and sometimes it strikes me as solid. But I think he's okay. Unfortunately, he just cannot stay healthy, and he's an okay point guard. And this is just compared to all the rest of the point guards, right? De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is interesting because there's a lot of things I like about De'Aaron Fox and a lot of things I don't like about De'Aaron Fox. I like that he has a good pace when playing. I think there's a lot of things he does well, and I think he scores the ball phenomenal. But he's not someone who can spread the floor. He's not someone who shoots well. He's not someone who's always going to take the right shot. And in my opinion, that's very important in a point guard, which is why for me he's borderline all-star. He's going to put up those all-star numbers, but for me, he doesn't feel like an all-star caliber type of impact. And for that reason, he's just kind of a borderline all-star. I could see him, getting a couple all-star nods here and there throughout the years, and he puts up great numbers. And I think he's going to continue to put up great numbers because of how the team is built around him and how the Kings are kind of hopeless at this time. But I just don't see him as that all-star caliber point guard for myself. Shai. Shai's kind of on the same tier. I love Shai. I think, though, a lot of it has to do with his team and how much it circulates around him. Again, kind of the same instance as De'Aaron Fox. But I do believe that in the next coming years, when they have a more robust team, an established team, I do think he can move up to this all-star caliber. I like what I see in him. He finishes games. He's clutch. I like what I see. He does a lot of things well, defends well, and he shoots pretty decently. So I like him. I like him as the top of my borderline all-star. I wish I could put him up here, how much I like him, but I don't think he's quite there yet as of right now. But I think he will get there in the future. Devontae Graham. He's okay. He has his moments. Smaller point guard. I mean, you get what you get with him. Some nights he might go off for 20, 25. Other nights he's just going to probably stay around that 13 or 15 point range. Maybe like 17 sometimes, but I like him. He's okay. Trae Young, to me, is elite. I think he is a top 3 point guard in this league. Top 4 point guard in this league right now. I think that while he lacks a ton on defense and he might be one of the worst defenders of all time, what he makes up on offense and how he shifts the game on offense is top tier for me. I think that is why I put him in that elite tier. I think he's just great. Luka, I don't really need to say much. Elite, I mean, dude can do everything. He might not defend well, but man, his impact on the game is unlike anyone we've seen. He is one of the most skilled players in the NBA right now, and he does this while looking like a 40-year-old dude who drinks beer on his couch half the time. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if he gets fit and if he had some athleticism behind him, it would be unstoppable. But what he can do now and how smart he is in his playmaking, and he plays right out of the gates like he's been playing for a long time, which he has. He's been playing the EuroLeague as a kid, but he plays like he's a 20-year-old or a 10-year-old vet, and it's just he's elite. There's nothing more to say about that. Ja Morant, elite. But I mean, you want to win a game, Ja Morant's on your team. You get Ja Morant on your team. He can close out a game. He can lead your team. He's not the best shooter, but he makes tough shots. He makes important shots, and I think that makes him a top 5 point guard in this league. I think that you can't really, especially seeing after what we saw this past year, like you can't argue that he's a top 5 point guard. He's elite. It just is. Darius Garland. I like Darius Garland. I think he's one of those players that is a superstar. I think he's going to continue to be one of those players that's going to get you 23 and 8. Won't play the best defense, but he'll make an impact on your team. He'll spread the ball around. He'll shoot it well. He'll make the right play every time. And I love that about point guards. He is rather small. He's about 6'1", but I think what he brings to the table is way larger than how large he is, right? And what he lacks on defense sometimes. And I think that team in general is going to get built out over the years. And him, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, I love that team. I just love how it's built up. I like how they did this year. Sad that they literally went through so many injuries, and their playoff opportunity and hopes were kind of diminished, and they kept going down on the seeding. But I think he's a great point guard, and I think he's a superstar, and I think he's going to continue to be a superstar for many years to come. LaMelo Ball, all-star caliber. I love LaMelo Ball. I think he has the potential to be in that superstar tier, and it's kind of hard not to put him up there for myself. I'm a kind of a LaMelo Ball stan, but I think he hasn't reached that point yet. Just being completely honest, as much as I like him, I think he hasn't reached that point yet. I think you see spurts of it. I wish he was a little bit more consistent, but he's a guy that's going to make the right play. His playmaking is great, just like his brother. And I think that we're going to see him be great for many years to come. And I think he's going to be in that elite tier eventually when the time comes. Kyle Lowry, nowadays he's solid. There's a lot of flashes of him being hot and cold. I do like the hustle that he brings on the court, but at the same time, like last year was just really disappointing for him. I'm not sure how much I love that fit in Miami just yet, being a Miami fan, but at the same time, I love what he's done over the years. I love what he brings, and his defense it's nice, and especially for a smaller guard. Mike Conley is again solid. I think that's a good place to put him. Plays good defense, shoot the ball well, a leader off and on the court. So I like him. Russell Westbrook. If we're talking about 2 years ago, he's a superstar. If we're talking about last year, he's solid. But I'll be honest, I'm going to put him in that borderline all-star. I think that a lot of the, I guess, the downside of what happened this year was due to the team fit. That team was just poorly constructed. I think he didn't feel comfortable. I feel he kept getting antagonized, and he maybe didn't know how to deal with it. I think having this extra offseason, being able to build that chemistry, being able to understand, okay, I was doing this wrong, I was making the wrong shots, etc., etc. I think he's gonna better from that, and I think he can be kind of in that borderline all-star tier. I'm not giving up on Russell Westbrook yet, even though last year was hard to watch. It's Russell Westbrook, He still averaged 18, 7 and 7, or 18, 8, 8 and 8, and brings good defense, brings good tempo to the court, and I think you can't argue. I just don't think he's in the tier of these guys, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to put him in the tier with the borderline all-star. But I think he'll be there this year. That's my projection on that. James Harden is elite. He's not averaging his 30-plus points a night, but he can still give you 24 and 10 on a regular basis and play decent defense. And I think what he's doing this offseason, actually taking the time to prepare his body and prepare himself, it's going to be great. I think that it's going to be scary in Philly if he's playing up to what he's normally used to playing. I don't think he's going to score that 30 ever again, seeing as he's sharing the floor with Joel Embiid. But I think he's still going to give you that 25 and 10 and make those plays that you need him to make and make those tough shots that you need him to make. Steph Curry, need I say more? Top 5. Elite. Just elite. I can't argue that. Best shooter of all time. Okay defender. I wish he was a better defender, but it is what it is. But what he lacks in defense, he makes up in offense by a ton. I think he is a top point guard in this league. I don't think you can really argue that. Drew Holiday, to me, borderline all-star. I think his defense is phenomenal. He'll give you like 18 points a night and this and that, but I think that what he brings to the court and how he fits on the Bucks is huge. I think he plays his role extremely well. I think he's the best defending guard in the NBA. I think he's better than Marcus Smart in my opinion, but I can see the argument for the other side. But I think he's just the best defending guard, and also will give you 18 points and also make a good play. And I think he's great. I think he's a borderline all-star player. Eric Bledsoe, at this point, not much to say. Decent defender. Is just Kemba Walker, again, as much as it pains for me to say it, just I think the movement of every team is just, like he's gone downhill, and it's kind of sad to see that, but it is what it is. I'm going to leave Damon for last. Dennis Schroeder, again, can't even really find a job at the moment. He was sixth man of the year, a few years ago, maybe more than a few years, and he can't even find a job. Same with Montrezl Harrell. Like, it's crazy to me how quick someone can be playing really well, being a solid NBA player, and then fall out of it all completely. It's just tough, and I think he deserves a spot in the league, and I think he could be a good backup point guard. It's just at this moment he's Spencer Dinwiddie. To me, okay. When he switched teams and played on the Mavericks, I felt like he was a little bit more solid. So I'm going to put him at solid. I think he'll project pretty well this year. I think him and Luka and having Christian Wood's going to open up a lot of the floor for them and be able to make some more plays and stuff. Cade Cunningham. If I'm projecting for this year, I think he's going to be a borderline all-star. His team, I don't think it's going to be very good. I think it's going to be a terrible team. But I think him himself is going to be considered a borderline all-star. I think he's going to be one of those players that's going to give you kind of like DeJounte Murray, 28 and 8. I think he's kind of in that top of the borderline all-star with Shea. I think what he brings on the court, his size, his mentality, his IQ, he does a lot of right things at such a young age that you kind of see that potential growing, and you kind of can't negate the fact that we think he's going to be a superstar. You know what I mean? I think he'll be in this tier one of these days, higher up. Jalen Green. I usually think Kevin Porter's back and forth, but Jalen Green, to me, he was okay. A lot of people is he okay or is he solid? I'll put him as solid. I don't love him. I'm not in love with Jalen Green. I just don't think that. I think he's just a kind of a glorified scorer on a bad team. I don't love him. I don't hate him or anything. I'm just not in love with him yet. Maybe next year he'll win me over and he'll climb up the ranks. But as of right now, I think he's solid. I think what he does from a scoring standpoint is pretty good. So he's solid. Damian Lillard. The reason why I left Damian Lillard so low, or till now, is because I didn't know where to put him. I kind of wanted to keep the elite to top 5. And I kind of want to put him up here. But who does he deserve a spot over? Do I think he deserves a spot over Luka? No. Do I think he deserves a spot over Trey? You can make an argument, but to me, no. Spot over John? No. Spot over Curry? Definitely not. So it's between James Harden and Damian Lillard. And you know what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep Damian Lillard up here, and I'm going to bring James Harden down here. While I do think he deserves to be an elite, I think as of right now, I think he's playing at a superstar level. I think next year he'll probably be back at an elite level, seeing the weight loss and seeing how dedicated he's been. Is just, I just think that Damian Lillard's a little bit better whenever he's healthy. I think he's a phenomenal player, probably the best closer in the league, and a good playmaker. Very underrated playmaker. Whenever anybody talks about Damian Lillard, they never talk about his playmaking, but he's still one of those guys that average 7 or 8 assists and make the right play a lot of the times. He's taking a lot of shots and far shots, but he makes a lot of them. He doesn't have terrible shooting splits, and he'll average 28 and 8, on his sleep. So I'm hoping that he comes back healthy next year and has a good season. So this is my tier list. I'm gonna try and move some guys around. I'm gonna kind of keep it a little more even. I think the solid tier needs to, some guys need to move down. So I think when I'm looking at this, I bring down Mike Conley and I bring down Malcolm Brogdon. Do I like that? Do I like that? Do I think anyone deserves to move up? No, I think that does it for me today. Yeah, this is my tier list for the point guard ranking for myself. And thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any concerns, if you have any comments, just leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Any feedback is great, honestly. I'm trying to basically trying to do this a little bit more often. I kind of have fun ranking these players. It allows me to kind of like talk about how I feel about the NBA, which is something I love. And yeah, thank you guys for making this happen. And yeah, leave a like, and comment, subscribe, and hope you guys have a great day. Take care.